Edson Barboza, now 12 UFC wins, might have the greatest highlight reel in the history of this lightweight division, at least, which is just so amazing. And I think for a lot of people, we've seen him grow up, Kenny, in the UFC. He was 6-0 when he debuted in the UFC in 2010. He's been at this forever, and he's still getting better. I mean, I think he was losing this fight to Beneil Dariush, but man, did he not lose it in the end. Big moment for Edson Jr. Barboza, obviously, over the weekend.
Edson is, as they say, a motherfucking problem because, I mean, his speed is just something to behold, man. I don't get it. It's not even fair how fast this guy moves. But I got to say, listen, I thought Dariush fought a phenomenal round one. I actually had Dariush winning that round. I thought the fact that he was pressuring Barboza was giving Edson some trouble. You could see that Edson really didn't settle down until round two. And once he got in his rhythm, man, it was a big time problem for Dariush. And I thought Dariush fought a great fight. If you're going to shut down a kicking game, if you're going to shut down speed, I thought he did everything he possibly could in round one. But he was getting a little tired. I think those leg kicks were affecting him a little bit in round two as well. So he started to slow down. And once Barboza got comfortable, he just started unleashing hell. And it was just amazing to see him eat the jab and go, all right, I'll trade you a jab for this knee. And it took out Dariush in an instant. Just amazing to watch. And I tell you what, that guy is a terrible matchup for the lightweight champ, Conor McGregor. He is an amazing striker. I think his speed, his ability to strike, and his ability to not really throw himself off balance too much like he used to, I think makes him a very, very tough matchup for Conor McGregor.
So I'm
not saying he's going to get that. I'm not saying he's going to get that shot right now, but I'm saying style-wise, that's a problem.
Well, he's certainly positioning himself. Obviously, there's a logjam at 155 pounds now. I was going to ask you if you think Edson Barboza can be champion, because here he is now 19-4, right? The losses, at least in the UFC, Jamie Varner, Donald Cerrone, and Tony Ferguson.
Yep.
It seems like Barboza's sort of painted with the brush of a guy who has a suspect chin. I know there's the Varner TKO loss, but it held up on this night. I thought Dariush had the right approach. I know you do. Brian Stan did. It's interesting, actually. Damian Maia, and I want to get back to Barboza in a second, but Damian Maia just said, if I'm coaching Beneil Dariush, he said this to me in the van on the way back to the hotel. He said, if I'm coaching Dariush, I'm finding a way to take that guy down. And I think there's an argument on both sides, right? Because you're playing with poison, as Dariush was, and he was willing to get knocked out, and he got knocked out, right? He got a lot done. He was winning the fight. But I think to outlast Edson Barboza on the feet over 15 minutes strategically has some holes in it too.
Well, I think he got a little impatient. And here's the problem. And this is why I'm a little nervous for George St. Pierre when he gets back. A double leg isn't what it used to be. And a lot of fighters are going to be willing to make that trade and say, listen, you might be able to take me down, but I'm going to throw a knee as you come in. And it's just one of those things. Dariush was looking for the takedown there, but I think it's a very unsafe option going for a double leg these days, especially against a fast and dangerous striker like Edson Barboza. I think Khabib Nurmagomedov has a much better recipe for the takedown for two reasons. First of all, it's safer getting to the clinch in that 50-50 clinch. And if you're able to secure a takedown, if you're able to get a takedown from that 50-50 position and get on top, you have much better control. Whereas on the singles and the doubles, you see guys get taken down and guys are popping right back up. They're getting their head up, they're posting their hands on the mat, and they're getting right to their feet. You can't really do that on a throw from 50-50 like Khabib Nurmagomedov hits. So I think that Dariush did his best to get to a clinch. He was using more of a tie clinch as opposed to a wrestling clinch, and that's kind of where the problem lies. Obviously, much easier for me watching to analyze what he needed to do, but I think it's just a safer option. Getting to that 50-50 clinch against a fast striker like Edson Barboza, it's not an easy thing, but certainly taking a risk and going for the single or double is even more dangerous.
That is very interesting and spot-on analysis. So Anthony Pettis, Gilbert Melendez, Beneil Dariush, last 3 victims for Edson Barboza. I was going to ask you if you think he can be champion, because this win and the nature of the win with, the flying knee knockout really does position him nicely at 155. He's unbeaten since the loss to Tony Ferguson, obviously, which proved to be a difficult matchup, and I think Ferguson might be the best 55er in the world right now. Khabib obviously is there, and Conor is lurking as the champion. What do you think's next for Barboza, and can he be the UFC champion if things fall according to plan?
I really think he can. I think he beats. I think he can beat Dos Anjos. Well, Dos Anjos is now going to fight at welterweight, but he's currently number 4. I think he beats Alvarez. And I truly think this. I think that if he's able to stop the takedown game of Ferguson, I really think he's the better striker. We saw Ferguson take a lot of damage in that Barboza fight.
Yeah.
I think Ferguson did, obviously is just a killer and just would not stop moving forward. And I think Barboza kind of folded to that pressure a little bit, got tired, and Ferguson just kind of outlasted him and caught him on the ground. And Nurmagomedov, I think he's the toughest style matchup for Barboza. But Barboza's wrestling is looking much, much better. I think on the feet, I think he beats all of those guys. And yes, I do think he can be a champion. The way he matches up against McGregor right now, I think that's McGregor's probably toughest striking matchup right now. Maybe, Conor's a phenomenal boxer. I think he's probably a little bit cleaner of a boxer, but he's not as fast and he's not as powerful as Edson Barboza.
Barboza will probably have to win at least one fight to realize the Conor fight. Michael Chiesa is a name that's out there, a guy he hasn't fought. That's really the only name that makes sense. He's not going to get a fight with Nate Diaz. I wouldn't think that would get Diaz out of bed. And I think he fought Michael Johnson before. So we'll see what they do with Barboza, but a big, big weekend for him. And obviously what a pleasure to, watch him perform.